Hello, you're very welcome. I'm Sarah McLean, and this is a conversation about you being community building, a community organizer or host locally in your community or online during the Feast for the Soul. So our agenda today is briefly talking about the feast, which I'm pretty sure all of you know about, and the importance of community, why we're really putting the emphasis on community this year. And lastly, we'll talk about, the structure if you need it, what we're looking for, and how you can promote it within the feast. So I'd like to introduce the co-director of the feast, Sue Cooper. And I think we're going to record this and post this if you need to, if you have to leave early. I know some of you said you did. And so this will be about a 45-minute, if that, conversation. So let me talk about the feast first, and then Sue will talk about the importance of community. And I see we have some other beautiful feasters on here. Lori has been on the faculty, and Suzi von Mensenkamp is putting together programming for you as well as I am. And we have some feasters here, like
Hello.
Judy. Hello.
Hello.
And here we go. We're going to get started with first, what is the feast? As you know, it's 40 days of total immersion into your meditation practice or spiritual practice, whatever that may be. It was started 18 years ago by a woman who is a community organizer or a host who gathered people in her living room because she had the desire after the holidays to deepen her spiritual practice. She went to books, she went to her teachers, and she gathered resources to support the deepening of her spiritual practice. Well, the feast evolved a lot, and now we're going back to some bare bones. The feast evolved where we, Sue and I and Susie, were able to create a daily live practice that we recorded and we put on YouTube and Spotify. And we realized this year that, and we sent out a daily newsletter to remind you of what's going on. But this year we're putting a little bit more responsibility on you as a feast goer and as someone who really believes in what we're doing. So what we're doing is inviting you to become a host in your area and create a community that's going to support you and going to support the people in your community. So, because Sue's emphasis is quite often on building community, I was going to invite you, Sue, to share a little bit about what that looks like in the world of meditation and care, compassion.
Oh, thank you. And hi, everybody. Forgive me, I've just muted everybody because I've got a little bit of back feed on here. But you can unmute yourself. Sarah asked me to be a co-director of the feast about 3 years ago. So it's been a great journey along the way, and lots of meditations. And what I've come to realize over the last 12 months with what's going on in the world is having more time, not only to deepen our practice individually, but to do this collectively. And whilst we've been doing it in the virtual, which has been fantastic, I have an absolute passion, and have had for about the last 12 years, to see if we can build community, not only virtually, which we've done in the last few years, but in the physical as well, in our own home communities. And that a community could be one other person, a conversation, a deep conversation, a conversation along the lines of care and compassion. But it's kind of what I call a more of a spiritual community, where we can share the deeper essence of ourselves, knowing that within mutual understandings that what happens in the space stays in the space, that we can co-create a beautiful circle based on care and compassion, and with the intention of this safe, loving environment, so that we can actually open ourselves more to being our whole selves. And for this moment, if I could just share the poem that inspired Valerie in 2008. And for me, the whole poem is so beautiful, but it's the last word on it. So it's only very short. So shall we take a breath? so that we can sort of sense into it and bring the origins back into being. So taking a breath. A new moon teaches gradualness and deliberation, and how one gives birth to oneself slowly. Patience with small details makes perfect a large work like the universe. What 9 months does for the embryo, 40 early mornings will do for your growing awareness. And that word awareness, and sometimes we alternate it with the word wholeness. So what 40 early mornings will do for your growing awareness or wholeness. And at this stage, I really want to honor Sarah, because Sarah picked up the feast along the way with Valerie and has held this so beautifully for us all to grow into. And despite the fact each year we think, well, you know, it's now 18, she is 18, does this body of work continue, or how can it evolve? So this year it's about the holistic growing of our own awareness, the wholeness of our own awareness. And meditation and mindfulness practices, which we have the vast library and huge faculty, which we'll still be doing live meditations, is the plea is to consider finding somebody in your own community that you can be your whole self with. And it may be a pet, it may be somebody you could simply open to. And this open-heartedness is really at the heart of this, because the world is moving increasingly into chaos, which it's always been that way, but we're here and aware of the amount of information coming at us continually. And that throws us out of coherence because it puts us into fight, flight, stress. When we meet with another or others within our community, and can express the depths of our care and compassion for each other, something emerges. And I've been building community for a long time now, because I was very unwell myself and I needed to find somebody who could help me. And I couldn't find anybody to help me because I didn't know what was wrong. But when I found a meditation group, and then I found somebody who led a meditation group, and then a group of us within this meditation group said, we want to learn more. Come and sit. So the invitation was to come and sit in my sitting room and let's talk more. Let's really learn more. You know, we had quite a lot of resources from Deepak Chopra and Greg Braden and some books, and we'd maybe do read a spiritual book and do some conversation on it. But each time we actively listened to each other completely, totally, whilst we could personally share what was coming through us. For nobody's to fix us, but knowing that this safe, brave space held us, each one of us, and we are all important. We each had something to share, and we knew we could do this. And through that, we grew. And we started in 2009 in my sitting room, and we continued until last year. Well, we moved, we got very, very big. So knowing that the power of the physical community, so I'm not disregarding the physical because we are in the physical now, but when we can touch each other, when we can hold another's hand or a paw, you know, if it is your pet, and be present with full attention. So the plea is only consideration to say, have I got the confidence to move into a position where I could speak to somebody that I maybe have always wanted to speak to, or somebody I know, or maybe my yoga teacher or my meditation teacher, and say, can we start something in our local community? And the resources that we used each time was incredibly simple. We weren't all meditation teachers then, so we streamed a meditation like we have on the feast. We have plenty of meditations, thousands of meditations to stream. We then decided, you know, what we were going to talk about, and obviously we've done that a little bit beforehand, but with that real understanding that when we care for ourselves and we can care for each other through that. And then we can care for our community and we care for our planet, or we can care for our planet, our community, each other, ourselves. You know, that interplay is important. So just briefly, Sarah asked me, and I'm sorry, I haven't responded because I've been active, is did I have a community meditation? And the answer is I actually don't, but the meditation or the poem was the one that Sarah delivered when we did our huge mass meditation in our market square where thousands actually came. And we evolved greatly, which was the poem "If There's to Be Peace in the World." And I'm just going to throw it gently over to Sarah, because I know you know this off by heart, Sarah, and I wondered if you would share that with us, because this is at the heart of community building.
Yes, thank you, Sue. And thank you for sharing. You've just got such a big open heart and sharing how community has really served you in your healing and how it starts in the living room or on Zoom with another person. But this is something in America we had, or in the United States, we had whisperings of something called the Department of Peace, like it was part of the government. Well, as you probably know, our government is a little crazy and it changes every 4 years. So even if someone has an initiative like that, I was very hopeful because I wanted peace on this planet and I kept waiting for it to be legislated, like many of us do. When is there going to be peace in the Middle East? When is there going to be peace? So I read this poem and it changed my perspective. It's by Lao Tzu, and he's an ancient philosopher and also, I believe, wrote the Tao Te Ching. And so his poem went something like this: In order to have peace in the world, there must be peace between nations. In order to have peace between nations, there must be peace in the cities. In order to have peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. In order to have peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. And in order to have peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. And it was with that poem that I realized that, let's not wait for someone to save us. Let's go ahead and be fully responsible for our own peace. And so it did shift my perspective. And it also really helps me now to teach and have other people wake up to the fact that you're it. You're the one. Sue was looking for healing and created a community. And I think you said the word, Sue, confidence, because in the beginning, you're just a little wobbly thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. But I'll tell you, the world is hungry. People are hungry for community and a different kind of community, not just playing pickleball or, maybe going to the gym. It's a different kind of community. It's a community of spiritual partners, a partnership between equals for the purpose of spiritual growth. And so, a community ideally and I remember when Sue, you did this, you were never the one in charge. Everybody took turns being the facilitator for the group, bringing the book or the video or the meditation they wanted to share. And I think that's a lovely way to do it. I'm hoping to create one here in Santa Barbara. I'm working on it, but I also know it's possible to do it online. And I wanted to ask Suzi, I know I didn't prep you for this, Suzi, but would you spend a moment or some time sharing a little bit about the community that you've created on Mondays? And by the way, everybody's invited on her Mondays. It's on part of our calendar, but would you share a little bit about the evolution of that?
Hi, yeah, absolutely. I don't have my speaker plugged in now, so hopefully the microphone is good enough. Yeah, like, COVID, I think, got us all online originally and reluctantly even, and we had to figure it out. We just had to figure out Zoom, we had to figure it all out. And I think the feast then helped us to evolve that tremendously. And I just decided as long as people were still willing to come on a Monday, like during COVID, obviously we were doing it 7 days a week. I think Sarah, at one stage you were doing twice a day, 7 days a week. Such was our willingness to offer something, at a time when people really needed it. And then it evolved so that it whittled down to once a week on a Monday. And I always say, as long as people show up, I'll show up, because it really helps me as a person as well. It's not just me helping others; it's a collective, and we've created a beautiful sangha we have about between usually 30 and 40 people every Monday. And, during the feast, I hope we can expand that out and invite more people in. And with the idea that it will inspire others to create similar, online offerings or in-person offerings, because what I've noticed is the consistency of some of the people who keep showing up every Monday. We go through all the seasons, all the highs and lows that life is bringing, the stresses, the celebrations, and you can see it's evolving. Like, our consciousness is evolving, our interests are evolving, and people get to share really cool stuff. We look at a lot of research that's happening in the world of, consciousness and things like that, spirituality, sharing books, resources, insights. Then some days it's just literally we just show up, we do the practice, and that's it. I try to keep it simple, but it's really, really something that's become very near and dear to all of us that are on that particular call. And I feel like it's something that as long as people have that desire, that need, you'll find the people. They'll find you, that you find each other, and the need is, it exists in me every Monday to show up. It's never fully satisfied because we're continuing. And I think that's the beauty of it, that the need is there, the people will find each other. And like Sue said, you need the confidence to kind of stick your neck out and try and figure out the technology. And it's great to have people like, Sarah, who's, a veteran in terms of the technology, and helping, people to get to know each other and how to do it. And then, it's not about perfectionism or anything like that. It's really about the right intention coming from your heart, wanting to create that community. And then the community kind of takes care of each other. Ultimately, I think that's how I see it. So
Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Sue. I wanted to share something. And Sue wrote about it, and I've been hearing about it. I didn't realize this was the quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. Some of you know the late Vietnamese Buddhist monk. And he said, and it's just on the subject of what really a spiritual practice takes, it takes three different, let's say, foundations. One is your practice, sitting like Susie said, just sitting and doing the practice. But then it also takes wisdom, and where you get your wisdom, it's not prescribed. It can be just somebody's interest showing up with their poem, their book, their video, their research. So that's the wisdoms of the three jewels. There's the wisdom, there's your practice, and the third is what's called the sangha, or community. And it's different than your own home and your own family members, although it can include them, but often doesn't. It includes people that are your Anam Cara, your soul friends. And he said that he believed the next Buddha would not be an individual, but rather a community that practices love, understanding, and mindful living. He believed that the Sangha was to spread the Dharma, or wisdom, through their daily actions. So this is the ripple effect that we all have. If you've got peace in the heart, you're probably going to be a little more peaceful to the people in your home most of the time, and then really peaceful with your neighbors. And so it is a ripple effect that, some people spend their lives measuring. Lynn McTaggart being one of them. She often talks about the powers of eight, getting eight people together to practice together. And you can go to her website, and I'll just put this in the chat here. But there are many, many people in this day and age looking to create community, since we were so bifurcated during, whether it's an election or during COVID or belief systems. And so this is a time to sort of patch it all up, put it all together, lean on people in your neighborhood. And so what does it take to let people know? And I think anyone can and offer some insights into this, but I know, Sue, because you were so doing it in person, and so was I had a big meditation center. Well, it wasn't physically big, but it had a far-reaching um, ripple effect in Sedona, Arizona. And, it took me every day to be there, to tell people about it, to go into local meetings and talk about it, to get little business cards. And also I started doing these free meditations every Sunday. And then my husband started doing free meditations every day, twice a day there. And so, sometimes it would be one person showing up. Sometimes it would be 25 people and we had too many people and they had to go sit in the living room or the waiting room. And, I think one of the big lessons of having a community is not to take anything personally. Right now we have 9 people on this call, and, sometimes we have 109, sometimes we have 290. So yeah, we can't take it personally. We just keep showing up, putting it out there, showing up it's really for ourselves. It's really for ourselves. So, Susie, how did you, or Sue, how did you spread the message of your local group coming to your living room?
Yes. Well, firstly, it was confidence to go out. And courage is the first word that I always use, because courage has to come from you. It can't be given to you. So you have to generate this, and then it kind of, in a way, becomes a calling. I know I have to do this, but I don't know where to get started. So I've got a little thing in front of me here, which you can't see, but I started with going around to see some of the local people who provided yoga and Pilates in my community, and said it would be really good if we could have a 10-day session in learning how to meditate and finding each other in community. And they said, so why are you going to do that? I said, well, it's really for, my background is nursing, so it's for health and well-being, because once we start feeling we belong, we start to feel that sense of empowerment, and it's a lovely feeling. So they said yes. So I went to one of our local coffee bars who had an upstairs, and I said, is there any chance we could use this coffee bar for a free community event to help people find a little bit more about what goes on locally with meditation and mindfulness and well-being? And they went, yeah, of course you can. So I invited 8 people. So I started it, and my local little friends or big friends came. And then the next day, one of the meditation teachers who had a practice with her people came and delivered the meditation. But my people, if you know what I mean, the group that I was with, also came. And then on day 3, another meditation teacher came, and the people who'd been both days came. So, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but what happened was over 100 people came as it grew. Now, when I sent the invitation out originally to a group of people that I thought might be interested, not one of those people came. But each of those people handed it to someone who said, this doesn't really interest me, but I think you'd be interested in this. Why don't you go along? So I suddenly met a whole heap of new people that I didn't know before. It was like, oh God, what am I doing? But it was like, I'm just sitting here. We'll meditate together. And I think it was the vulnerability of expressing that I didn't have the answers, but together we could figure something out, which was endearing to us all. And we laughed a lot. We had a lot of fun. It's like, so this is where I sense the emergence coming into being, is if it feels right in your heart to do that, be it online or in the physical, simply breathe into it and have that courage to go and knock on a door, or pick up a phone, or speak to somebody who's within a community here and just say, oh, shall we do that together? And what we'll do during Feast is with the breakout rooms as well, on a Friday, where people can get to know each other and go, oh, fancy you live down the road from me, or you live in the same state. And be prepared for gathering, gathering whatever wants to be gathered and whatever wants to show up, the emergence. So yeah, thank you, Laurie.
Thank you, Sue. Yeah. So, I just want to say, I wanted to ask you a question, then Lori will hear from you. But Sue, how often initially did you meet?
We met every 2 weeks.
Okay. Just interesting, right? Mhm.
That was in my sitting room. But then when we went out, we did 10 days. We did 2 5-days, Monday to Friday, two.
Wow.
And then that stopped. But then from that, other groups So I ended up running big picture groups and wow groups and all sorts of groups.
Wow. Okay.
People were interested in certain things, so we devised a group for that particular interest.
Wow. Okay. What time did you meet?
We met in the morning, actually. We met about 9:30 in the morning. We were of an age where we were free to be creative with our daytime. But the ones that we've been running in the last few weeks have been at night. And again, different people come then. The younger people come at night because they're working during the day.
Good. Thank you, Sue. Lori, please share.
Hi, it's good to see everyone. Um, I just wanted to share, so I started a group back in 2021, right after I graduated from teacher training. And there were two phrases that I used at the beginning to start gathering people for my Monday group. And I wanted to share those with all of you because I definitely felt nervous and not brave at that point. But the phrases that I used a lot with people first were, would you be open to? And it was just, would you be open to joining me on a Monday to sit in silence or to give me feedback on leading my meditations, leading meditation? Because for me, a lot of it in the beginning was just gathering feedback from people about what was working and what maybe wasn't working for them in a meditation that I was leading. So that's one thing. And you can use that with anybody. Would you be open to joining me? Would you be open to co-leading with me? Would you be open to sharing any insights after we meditate? So that's the first question that I asked a lot. And then the second one was, if I sent you an invitation for meditation, and if you're not interested, that's fine, but would you share that with other people that you might know? And what ended up happening for me was I started with a small group of people who loved me and knew me personally, and then they started sharing with their circles. And now I have people coming from all walks of life to join meditation, maybe not on a regular basis, but some will drop in once a month, some come every Monday, and some come twice and never come back, which is fine. I think the idea of not taking anything personally is it's a good strategy, because you might not be for everyone, and you might be. You just don't know what the situation is with every individual. So anyway, thanks for your interest, everyone who's here. It's really lovely to see you.
Thank you, Lori. Maybe you and Lori's my neighbor. She's also a meditation teacher. And maybe we can start with something. I know you're a busy girl, but maybe someday we could start a once a month thing here. I don't want to be the teacher, though. I want to be the student. That's my plan this year. So thank you for sharing that. And you meet once a week, right? And then you take time off if you need to, right, Lori? Yeah, great.
Sorry, yeah. We meet once a week, also on Mondays, same time as Suzi's group. Um, and yeah, and sometimes, I have a 13-year-old, so sometimes I just cut out for a bit and everybody's really understanding. I also have a YouTube channel, so I upload my meditations on YouTube. So when I'm not available, then they typically will go to YouTube to tune in.
So for those of you who don't know Lori, she's also a faculty member on the Feast, and she's offering, as she said, also on Mondays, meditations. So we've got two choices on Mondays. And as a group facilitator, spiritual practice host, we haven't nailed the lingo, but you can just get everybody together in your living room and play something. I know, Suzi, you were doing that. Not in your living room per se, although I know I've been in your living room, but you've been showing videos and watch parties sometimes. Is that something you would encourage people to do, or tell me what that's like?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you get to know your Sangha, your group coming together, there's often common areas of interest with some of the group, not necessarily everybody. So we had recently been at a conference, Science and Consciousness, and there was some really interesting research emerging. So, we just scheduled to meet up on another time to watch something like that. Like it could be a lecture, speaker, talk. I know that Sue's hosted them with me as well, where we've done movies like Heal and things like that that can be really inspirational. Like, so I think what happens is the practice brings us together, connects us all in this kind of interconnective sort of beautiful kind of interwoven fabric of people coming together. But then as we connect kind of in our hearts, we're very interested in similar things, in different healing modalities, for example, or scientific research about, the nature of the brain and consciousness and time and all sorts of different themes, I suppose. So yeah, that's what I love about it, is that we can, you're finding a tribe almost. And I'm not mad for the word tribe, but I can't think of a better word. Sangha is a good word, because it's just, you know we get to meet people. For my group, we're global. We're not each other's neighbors, and we're not meeting in the local cafe, but it feels like you're going to the local cafe, and it can be very meaningful, I think. um so yeah.
Thank you, Susie. So there's so many ways to create community, and whether it's in your living room, whether it's with your neighbor. I have a neighbor who comes here and we share all kinds of resources on a regular basis, have tea, we laugh, we cry. And she's a big meditator, and it's so lovely to have a neighbor like that. And I think the interest, you said you've got these people far and wide. The difference between this community is really that we're all looking in the same direction for self-realization, for community building and care for each other, for compassion. And, it's different than, trying to get a candidate elected, or, because you all have the same religion. It's so vast, and it's such a beautiful experience to be courageous. Obviously, that word core is heart, to follow your heart in doing this, and to watch yourself as you interface with people that you may not actually have ever talked to under any other circumstance. So it's a beautiful, expansive experience. And I believe, and I check in with each person who has a community, I believe that the person who organized it gets the most benefit, to be honest. I feel like it stretches me in ways that I just, wow, learn so much about my boundaries. I mean, if you don't have boundaries, it's a great thing to learn in your communities. You learn how to say yes and no. You learn to be a listener. So it's a great opportunity. I wanted to share this link with you. If you can see it, it is a Feast for the Soul Become an Organizer page. And on this page, you will find you can find the resources you need. First, there's a guidelines and host packet, which you wrote many years ago, but pretty much stands for today, maybe without the inspiration, but certainly the nuts and bolts of creating community. And, as a community leader, organizer, or host, you can choose an open group or a closed group. Now, Susie's is open because she's on Zoom and anyone can come. And I believe the same is true for Lori, although initially I think it was closed. In my case, it's open. And in Sue, what was yours? Open, closed?
What on in the physical or on?
In the physical.
It was open. Yeah, we asked people to bring somebody along who also would benefit from it.
Great. That's a great way to do it, especially if you're meeting in a public place or a place, because you don't necessarily want people you don't know or or someone who doesn't know someone in the group to come, because that, for safety reasons. But, I often will say, let's do a friends thing, and we'll meet at a local church or we'll meet at a local library. And then, so here's some of the ideas of what you can do as a leader if you want to, is every time you come to one of our meditations at one of the feasts and what's offered during the feast, you can put yourself out there in the chat. Hi, my name is, and I live here, and I would be really interested in meeting someone who lives near me, if that's something you're interested in. And start to create, and that taking that first step, that it's hard for introverts, and many of us who are on a spiritual path are introverted. So it's just getting that push out there and saying, hey, you want to hang out? And so that's the first thing. And also another way of kind of asking, do you want to hang out, is doing it on the Feast for the Soul community group page on Facebook. Now, all these links, if you go to the Feast for the Soul website, all these links are under the 2025 page. So you'll find the community page, you'll find the calendar of events. There's not one every day, but sometimes there's two a day. you'll find different people leading different events. And if you happen to be a meditation teacher and have led events or have regular meditations that you offer, just reach out to me and we can post you on the calendar. But you have to have your own Zoom room and you have to be responsible for it, and it has to be free. In the feast, in the world of the feast, it has to be free. Now, in terms of just doing it on your own, I'd love to hear, do you charge anything? Anyone who has a group here, would you like to share? Susie or Sue or Lori or anyone who's got a group, anyone want to share what you do around money?
I don't charge. I work in service to community, and it feels good. And what actually happens from that, and it's not intentional, is I get so much more than I could ever buy, because gifts come in all different forms. So it's not done for that reason, but it's give and receive. And receive sometimes is difficult. Give is slightly easier. So yeah, free of charge.
Thank you, Sue. Susie?
Yeah, for me, the Monday is free of charge as well. It's open to everybody, and then in order to cover costs, because obviously I'm just, I'm not corporately sponsored or anything. I organize, teaching events or programs that I offer that people will support, and they pay me then for those, and it kind of always balances out, like. But I really enjoy being able to be part of something that's giving back, because I've received so much from all the teachers that I've had in the past, and from programs and events and teachers and teachings, and so it's just great to be able to kind of open the door and share some of that for sure.
Thank you, Susie. And Lori?
So it varies for me. I do indicate on my website, and I did at the beginning, that it's based on contribution. So if somebody does want to make a contribution, that's welcome, and it's on a sliding scale. So it could be from, the amount that you would pay for a coffee, for example, to a yoga class. And so I get varying degrees of contribution through the year from my existing group. Some do not pay anything and some pay a lot. So yeah, but I welcome it all. I'm just glad that people are showing up and we have a space for people to tune in to stillness. It's just invaluable.
It's in the giving that we receive, that is for sure. And the term, and thank you, Lori, and the term in Buddhism is called dana, D-A-N-A. It's an ancient Sanskrit word that means generosity. So we're all giving with dana. That's what we're doing. And it's actually a quality of a good character. And so you can say, we gratefully accept any kind of financial contribution that you have. Now, if you're not a nonprofit and you can't call it a donation. So I love the way you put it, Lori, is like, buy me a cup of coffee. That's what I do too. And it's a beautiful way to create that energy exchange, but it's not necessary. But I just want to say, if you're becoming a Feast for the Soul host during the feast, ideally you don't charge anything, unless of course the room you're renting has a cost to it, or there's some expenses you have to cover, and then everybody can share it. So let's see what else. So promotion, do a flyer, call a friend, put it out there to your friends and family, and don't be surprised that, like Sue said, the people you invite are not going to be there. Then suddenly somebody else comes. But the fact that you take that step to open your heart and your doors, people will eventually come, whether it's one person or 10 people. And then, so it's free. You have to be courageous and promote it yourself. You can promote it on the Feast for the Soul community page. You can promote it as we're in the middle of, the gatherings, because I know Sue, Susie, I, and probably Lori and other people often open the meditation at the end for community conversation, and you end up in a breakout room. Some people are shy, don't show up. I'd say about 10% or 20% of the people will hang out because they have the time to do it. And then they share, and I encourage you to do that as well when the opportunity comes, so you can share what you're up to. And by sharing it, you give people the courage. Thanks for being here, Lori. So you've got the Facebook group, you've got your flyers, you can call your friends. You can use our resources, which are on the community 2025 page, the calendar page, I should say. And I think that's everything in terms of what we're hoping you'll do. And I know many people are going to be listening to this as a recording. So, hi, you can always email us and let me know what your questions are, or if you need any support, where the resources are. But we aren't going to be listing your community anywhere. So, it's really going to be you in charge of doing it. And I know this puts a lot of people out of their comfort zones, but that's how we learn how to do it. That's how I learned how to do it. And because I had to figure out Zoom and I had to figure out the waiting rooms and I had to figure out, how to do this all. And so I know you can do it. Now, one thing I wanted to do was open up this conversation to questions. Does anyone have a question about your specific, um, your community or what you see? I actually got an email today. If you do, you can share, but I all of a sudden realized I got an email today from a woman who is, and she's in France. I think her name is Christelle Chopard. And hello, Christelle, if you're listening to this. Oh, she's in Manchester, UK. There are so many people in the UK and in Europe that are looking for community. And I know just off the top of my head, a few people in Manchester. So she said, um, this is actually from Oh yeah, no, that was Celia Stanford in UK. This one is Cristal, and I believe she's in France. And she said, I've been a meditation facilitator for 2 Feasts for the Souls. Are you looking for more instructors? And the answer to that is if you have your own Zoom room and you are used to leading meditations, you're trained in it, and you know what you're doing and create a safe environment for people, then yes, do it. But it has to be on your Zoom room. And so we will list, depending on most people, we will list on our calendar if we know you've been doing this in the past. So let us know if you're one of those people, what your Zoom room is, when you're doing it, what time it is, and it has to be free, and how people can access your meditation, and also a little bit about you. She said, I'd love to lead another meditation. So I'm going to tell her and that I'm going to ask her to do it on her Zoom room. And she says, oh, I can host one in Switzerland. So that's where she is. And she's talking about doing an in-person event in, I don't know how to say this word, Diese. It's a place in Switzerland. And she has enough parking spaces and a room big enough to receive up to 30 participants. So she's on her way. Now, I haven't responded to her because I wanted to have this call first. She could host an event on the 16th of January or Monday the 20th at 8 p.m. Swiss time. Now, it'll be up to her to invite people. She can post it on the Facebook page. She can share it in, if she guides a meditation. And she can also put it on if she can share it in the breakout rooms when she's in these programs. And she wants us to have a beautiful day. So that is from Cristal. Of course, I've got this other woman from Manchester. And so this is the question. It's going to be really up to you. And I think we've all given people inspiration to do it on their own. And so anyway, any questions, Danita, Judith? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, sir. But I see you're there, bright-eyed, ready to ask a question. And then, of course, we have Sir Hugh Evans, aka Alair. If you have a question or a comment, we'd love to hear from you.
Sarah, can people unmute themselves? Because I did press mute.
Oh, yeah, they can. You just unmute yourself.
Yep.
Okay, there you go. Any comments, questions? Anything, Susie?
No, that's been lovely. Danita.
I just want you to know this is so inspiring. I'm like half petrified, half like lit up and excited. So thank you for offering this.
Oh, you're welcome. So Danita's in our teacher training class 32. Yes, very exciting. Where do you live?
I live in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, which is right outside of Newport. And I actually started teaching meditation in 1995. and have done it off and on. And I never claim that. Even yesterday when Sarah called on me in our class, I didn't say it. And, you know, I feel the certification is deepening my understanding and my confidence and all of the things that go with that. But it's time for me to step into this role in a way that I can invite a community of people. I'm in a new community, so I just moved here in April, the end of April last year, and um, this could be exactly the stretch I need to merge my communities. I have had experience on Zoom facilitating programs and groups, and so that part I'm familiar with, but this is the stretch I need. Hi, Judith. I just saw you there. Hi, Judith. Anyway,
Thank you, Donita. I'm so excited that you feel that call. It really is. I mean, if you're here listening to this video, you're feeling it. So we're here to support you. You can always come to one of our meditations and take us aside and ask us, hey, what do I do now? We're here for you.
I will. Thank you.
You're welcome. And plus, Donita, we're going to be going into much more of how to do these things structurally, and some of it's written in the guidelines here, but any kind of questions you have. And it's a great way to get involved in a new community. I'm doing it too. Anyone else have a question or a comment?
I'd like to make just a comment, just an acknowledgement of Alaire and Judith, who both volunteered to support me in the Friday community. So I think it's called the Friday Feast Family, or Friends. Friends, I think we went with in the end. So, and just to kind of, not, I don't want to hog this space for it, but it could be an opportunity if somebody is interested in doing their own meditation. You could come on that Friday, because it's not so much about practice, it's about building the community, asking questions, sharing resources, starting discussions, setting up breakout rooms. And there are about 4 volunteers now who've offered to help, and we'll just see how that goes. So it'll just be an open space online for people to come, whether they're completely new to the feast or new to, you know, creating community or creating their own online program or something, you know, or offerings. So we'll facilitate or support whoever shows up on those Fridays. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And I know Sue shared some rules of, not rules is the wrong word, but understandings. I think that's something I'd love you to expand a little bit on, because it's not that you have to have how to behave when you're on an online program, but I think there are certain kind of considerations that moderators have to navigate and manage, you know, as the moderator or as the, you know, the host of an event. So would you be willing to share those, Sue? Because I think
Yes, yeah.
that's
Really,
interesting.
it's a, thank you, Suzi. It's a kind of a starter, because Sarah's got a lot of these as well, but it's putting into place a structure within a room, be it a Zoom room or a physical room, which I don't call rules. I call understandings for social gatherings. So these are just a few that we share to begin with, that we value and hold confidential all personal sharings and personal material. I can put this in the Zoom in a minute. We encourage compassionate listening and caring intention. We hold creative and safe space for confusion to gently transmute into clarity. Sometimes we wonder, what the heck are we doing here? But being patient and allowing that clear thought to come through. We share our unique gifts in group and ask for what we need. We spark curiosity and expect the unexpected to emerge at any time. We enjoy the journey. So very simple. So I'll just pop these in if I remember how to do that. And these are just understandings that I use, and then we add to them, or, you know, people discuss during. But knowing that the 3 things are important, I do believe, is creating a safe space to enable a brave space to emerge so that we can share with the intention of care and compassion. So safe, brave, intentional space, which from safe is kind of small because you're moving the fear, to brave, opening the heart, to intentional. What is the intention of this meeting that we share together?
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Sue. Please send it to me and I'll put it in the document and also on our page. Great, thank you. I love that. And the teachers that and many people that I work with know a little bit about the council practice or the community circle practice. Very similar, but I love yours because of the intentional and the safety. We always want to create safety. We don't want to make anyone wrong. We don't want to, but we do have to keep in mind that um, to keep the balance in terms of who's sort of dominating the conversation. I don't, being graceful and have some tact in terms of redirecting and things like that. So you do have to kind of create that safety for everyone in such a gentle, loving way. And I know Sue's an expert at it. Susie's likely an expert at it. I'm not so good at it, but I can try. Anyway. Anyone else have a conversation or discussion point that you want to bring into this safe space? Well, I'm hoping you're inspired. I'm hoping that you are the ripple effect. I hope that what you are called to do really happens. And even if you just feel like it's not working, at least you're trying it. I think we take a step towards something and then we'll see where it leads us because it doesn't always lead us to where we think we're going. I don't think any of us thought we'd be right here, right now. So, but here we are. Here we are. Anything else, Judy, Alair, Heather, the gentleman whose name I cannot pronounce beginning with a K?
That's Horabach.
Korobash. Is that right? Korobash. Thank you. That's cool. Okay. Anyone else want to share? Korobash, do you want to say anything? Where you're living and staying and what your hopes are? Or just want to hang out with us?
Well, I've been leading meditation groups since the early 1970s, and right now I'm the elder of a Quaker group in Poznan, Poland.
Wow. So you're an elder of a Quaker group in what part of Poland is it?
Poznan.
Oh, Hojnana. I don't know it, but I hope someone who's listening to this will know it and reach out to
Well,
you.
we are the headquarters of the United States Fifth Army.
I did not know that.
What important?
Yeah.
If there's an Abrams tank breaking down anywhere, even in the Ukraine, they'll tow it or carry it back to here to be fixed.
Wow. Wow. Do you have a lot of expats, Americans coming over there and coming to your meditation class?
Well, we are not a meditation class
Oh,
per se. We call it worship. Uh,
oh,
but it's very much like meditation. And, well, yes, I had one just last Sunday, but we don't have very many.
well, thank you for offering what you do. And we often talk about quaking in our work based on, just loosely based on that physical impetus that people have to share deeply and noticing the body's literal quaking, whether it's the heart racing or the tummy jumping or the swallowing going on in the throat, and recognizing it as a sign that at least it helped me to recognize my uh, quaking to speak. And sometimes it's the last thing I want to do when I'm feeling that way, but we borrow that from the Quakers. So thanks for doing what you do or who you are, being who you are.
Hi, Sarah. I finally got unmuted. I had to use my phone because when I did the computer, it kept saying, "Oh, this is private and you can't do this. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake, I'll use my phone. And then I couldn't find the unmute, and that's why I kept doing stuff.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, I am so excited to do this. I'm so ready. And it's great seeing Danita. Oh my gosh. I used to hang out with her in Sedona. So that's so cool.
Oh wow. Fun.
So good to see you.
Judy, will you share where you're living with everybody and what your thoughts are about creating a group?
Yeah, I'm in Lake Orion, Michigan. Going to Florida to see my grandson soon, though, for 3 weeks.
Nice.
I have a group of friends. It's a 12-step group.
Great.
And honestly, I feel like I'm in this spiritual growth, more positive place than a lot of them are. And I'm like, I'm going to start a spiritual group, whether it's a sacred women's circle or meditation, combination thereof. Because I need it really bad, but I also feel like it would be very helpful for me and them.
That's great. My goodness. Good job, Judy. Where are you going to do it? In your living room?
I think I would do it right here in my family room. I have a lot of those really cool, I don't know if you call them Native American blankets. They have them in Sedona at the restaurants to keep you warm. I love
Yeah.
those blankets.
They're Mexican blankets.
Mexican. And I have been gathering them for years. There's a reason why I've been gathering all this stuff. So I have a drum, I have a guitar. It's time.
You're ready.
I'm ready. I
Oh,
am.
good. Great. Well, thank you, Judy, for sharing. I'm excited for your journey.
Oh, thank you. Me too.
Heather, not Heather, unless you want to share, Heather, I see you're muted and your camera's off, but please feel free to share. I know Heather's in Flagstaff, Arizona. I don't know what her plans are. She offered to volunteer to help me this year, and so I don't know if we've roped you now into becoming a host for your community. Might have been that way. Let's not leave without saying hello to Alaire and hearing what your hope is.
So Sue, you inspired me with the upstairs at a cafe, I assume in Nottingham. We have a historic building. It's only 95 years old, so that's not very old by English standards, but by California standards, we, knock on wood, have
Yeah.
a Rock-In building a mile from where I live that is got an upstairs, and you just now inspired me to host meditation at the Rock-In, the historic Rock-In in downtown Lake Hughes, which is a tiny rural community of, barely 500 people. But yeah, I think that's where I'll start. I could start in my living room, and I do teach yoga outside in nature, assuming there aren't any wildfires to run from. But yeah, I think that's where I'll start after Feast for the Soul. Yes. So thank you so much. I have such deep gratitude and admiration for all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alaire. Thanks for feeling it and saying yes. I would love to hear about how your communities converge, your acting community, your yoga community, your meditation community. I mean, who knows what else is going on, but that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Well, I'd like to thank you, Suzi, for opening your room and coming up with that Friday experience. It's 6 Fridays of Friends for the Feast. And so you're going to see, I'm updating the calendar as we speak. It'll be mostly done today. If you're wondering what else is going on, that'll be on the calendar. That one place you can go to is feastforthesoul.org for all your buttons. Just click on 2025 and you'll see the calendar. You'll see the links for the Facebook group. You'll see the ways in which you can access earlier meditations if that's something you want to do. And what else? Oh, so thank you for being here too, Sue, and to inspire us for, and how you did it, because it's been so long since I did. I actually moved into communities. That's how I got my fix. I moved into a transcendental meditation community. Well, first I moved into the army, then I moved into the meditation community, and then I moved to a Zen center, and then I moved to an ashram. And, it has been the most important thing to me, besides my practice and, of course, wisdom, all three jewels. And so thank you for feeling the calling. Hope you have a lot of courage and success for creating this. So thank you all for being here. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you for calling us in, Sarah.
You're welcome. It's just what wanted to happen. So there you go. Okay, I'll talk to you all soon, I hope. I'm going to stop the recording.
Thank you.
Thank